We got another great guest for you guys. Aaron Swartz, he's co-founder of the Progressive Change Campaign Committee, and we're going to talk about the Fed audit, which is an issue near and dear to my heart. Aaron, welcome back. How are you? Hey, Aaron.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem, man. Thank you for coming on. So I've actually been on air for a while now, so I didn't follow today whether they had the vote or not. So did they have the vote in the Senate or no?
They have not had the vote yet, so people can still go to nomorelooting.com and support it.
Okay, so tell us what the vote's about for the people who don't know.
So, yeah, I mean, Federal Reserve audit, it sounds kind of crazy, but I think the most important thing for people to understand is that the Federal Reserve basically controls the economy. People like to use a lot of fancy economic jargon like monetary policy and, levers of investment, but the fact is the Federal Reserve just has this enormous amount of power to control the economy. They control the flow of money into banks, they control lending, they control interest rates, they control all the basic levers of a modern economy. And the fact is, right now, they've been using all their powers to bail out the big banks. They've got all sorts of secret facilities which they're using to funnel trillions of dollars to foreign banks, domestic banks, the biggest banks, small banks. And the fact is, we just don't know exactly who they're giving it to, because right now the Federal Reserve is pretty much one of the only government agencies, aside from the CIA, which isn't allowed to be audited by Congress. So basically, we have an independent agency that controls the economy, giving away trillions of dollars and refusing to tell us who they're giving it to.
Aaron, let me get this right. Do they basically print the money?
So the Treasury Department actually prints the money, but the Federal Reserve decides who it goes to. So it's this kind of weird deal where, they don't actually control the printing presses, but they control who gets it on the other side.
So they can make the decision, hey, let's print more money.
Right, exactly. And, their job in their charter is to keep printing money until everyone has a job. That's literally what they're supposed to do, according to Congress.
Okay, so they print money, and then they disperse it, but they won't tell the American people in a democracy where they have spent the money that they printed in the name of the American people.
It's crazy, isn't it?
No, but it's mental. It's nuts. I mean, every time I look at this issue, I think, that can't be right. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. And so now, luckily, they had a bill in the House that Grayson and Paul introduced, saying, yeah, let's audit the Fed so we see where the hell the money's going. Now it's up in the Senate, and how does the vote look at this point? I mean, they haven't had it, you said, but it looked like Bernie Sanders had a ton of supporters behind it. Is there any reason why it wouldn't pass?
So, yeah, he's had a ton of supporters in the past. He's got a bunch of supporters now. But the problem is, as Bernie said today, he's up against all the money in the world. And they've really brought the lobbyists out at the last minute. Rahm Emanuel is on the phones. The presidents of banks are on the phones. The head of the Federal Reserve is on the phones. Everybody is desperately trying to talk senators to flip their position and not support this amendment because, they don't want the people finding out where the money is going.
It's crap. Look, why are we listening to the bankers? And in fact, we should be 10 times more concerned. The bankers don't want to know how much money they're taking out of the Fed, which is, money that they're printing on our behalf, the American taxpayer. I just keep going back to what kind of insanity it is. So now, Aaron, I understand that we elected a president who was going to bring us change. What happened there? Why is Rahm Emanuel, the chief of staff of the Mr. President Change, going out there trying to do his damnedest to protect the establishment?
I'm sure you've been frustrated with Rahm Emanuel. I've been frustrated with Rahm Emanuel. Whatever you want to say about him, he has never been one who's big on change. Rahm Emanuel is big on serving the powers that be, keeping them happy so that Democrats can continue getting elected. And the fact is the powers that be, are able to loot millions of dollars and billions and trillions of dollars out of the government. They have a pretty vested interest in keeping that happening, and I'm sure they're happy to donate money to Democrats who let them, which is why it's really important that folks stand up and tell their senators they're paying attention to this vote. And if folks go to nomorelooting.com, they can sign our petition, they can call their senator, but we need to show them that, they can't just get away with continuing to hand out our money and not telling us where it's going. People care about this.
All right. Now, Aaron, before we finish up, is it true that you were co-founder of Reddit?
That is true.
It's fascinating. I read that and heard that, but that's kind of fun. Did that? Speaking of printing money, did that work out for you?
It worked out pretty well. Now I guess my job is to make sure it trickles down to some other people. I feel like I got a pretty lucky break, and right now there's millions of people out there who haven't been so fortunate.
And how old are you, Aaron?
I'm 23.
Oh, that's phenomenal. God bless. Okay, but you don't do that anymore at all? You're just with Progressive Change Campaign Committee?
Yeah, that's right. We got bought out by Condé Nast, and I took my money and decided to do something good with it.
That's the America I know and love. All right. All right. Aaron Swartz, fighting the good fight. God bless. Go forward. Thank you for joining us, man. All right. So, look, obviously we're going to keep you up to date on what happens with that vote. Very, very important vote coming up. And look, here's two markers. We talked about this a little bit before, but one, if somehow magically we lose that vote, because just so you understand, let me break it down for you again. Bernie Sanders, when he introduced it last year in the Senate, already had 59 votes for it. And 8 people who voted against it have switched publicly and say they're willing to vote for it. So that's 67 senators we can't lose. Now, if we do lose, that means take note of the people who switched to the other side, who basically got a phone call from Rahm Emanuel and said, look, I'm going to pay you, and you're going to be a good boy or a good girl, and you're going to support us keeping all this information secret so we can keep funneling that money to our banker friends. Well, you better believe it. I'm going to come on this show and read their names. As John McCain says, I'm going to make them famous. Okay? And that's exactly what we have to do. To get influenced by Rahm Emanuel and the president, who should be ashamed of himself. I mean, it's kind of a goofy thing to say, shame on you. But it really is. You lied to the American people. This is not change. This is pocket change. And it's protecting the establishment, and it's gross. I hope the president loses badly and that we win and we audit the Fed and see where the hell they're spending our money. Young Turks.